Hello, welcome to a slightly late edition of It's Casual. Actually, you YouTubers won't realize that we started late live, but we did for the live. We started a little late because my director, who's the fine grease that keeps these wheels rolling forward, she had to drive through the snow in Syracuse just now to get here to get ready for the show. So, thank you, Renee, for braving the storm for us.
Right, thank you. Yes, and I told him, it's like we're having. I don't know if anyone watched the Buffalo game yesterday. If you're an NFL fan, but they literally had to dig out the stadium. They had fans coming down with shovels to dig everybody out. It is pretty epic. It's pretty apocalyptic, and it's Arctic weather. That's what it is, and I think it was
It's
among the
like the beginning
coldest
of
weeks.
the Christmas special, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, with a big storm
That's
up
what
north.
it is. Yeah, exactly. But you're
we
right.
need a
Most of the
we need a
people who are
Paul
going to watch
Frees
this,
intro.
but most people watching this, of course, won't know any different. We do greet the replay squad. If you're watching in year 2030 or 2047, we greet you wherever you are. Or if you're just watching on January 17th, 2024, then we will be. It doesn't feel like 2024, does it? I keep saying 2023. It's 2024.
Again, we're well into January.
Well into
You should be
January, but
signing your
I
checks
haven't gotten
correctly now.
it's gonna usually takes me about 3 months to acclimate. But anyway, look, we can stop talking about the weather because I'll tell you, we have Stephanie Hodge here. She's a comedian, and we do have a clip. This is a
Okay.
hilarious clip that Rory sent to me, and I watched it like 2 or 3 times right now. It's just hilarious. Do you want me to play it now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, let's do it.
9 years old. Now, women in my family live a really, really, really long time, and I have made that my goal to carry on that tradition of becoming some gnarled up, nasty beef jerky looking, rust farting, crinkled up piece of crap. The only thing I'm worried about is old people's tongue disease. It runs in the family. That's when your tongue is so old it just kind of lolls out of your mouth without you realizing it. Oh, it's always trying to make an escape. I'm talking to Nanny on the phone the other day. She says, well, baby, let me the new I have no idea what she said. But I'm not sharing cigarettes with her anymore.
I wouldn't. That's smart. Very
And
smart.
this is how I remember Stephanie Hodge. As
And
a
I see her
comedian.
cracking up. She's cracking up backstage and reacting. And I think you might want to bring her on. I want to know what she said.
But I have to say that I was amazed because I was doing research for the questions that I was going to lead into, or I don't really ask questions. That's not my thing. I just kind of give you a little something to go off of, and then boom, you tell me a story.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for stuff to talk about. And I didn't realize the body of work that she has done on television and in movies until I started to research. Again, I booked her on the show because I just remember his Stephanie, the comedian I worked with many years ago. And we got a real star on the show this time because she's really done a lot of really cool stuff in movies and in TV. So we're going to hopefully talk about a lot of that. And we're going to talk about stand-up and what it was like back then, like I always do with the old comedians that I worked with. And I shouldn't say it like that. But let's go ahead and bring her up. That's Miss Stephanie Hodge.
Hello.
There she is.
Hi.
Beautiful.
I'm so far away. Should I be close?
You're very far away. Yes. I'll move you closer. There you go. A little bit closer.
Lean into the camera. The camera loves you.
So pretty.
Hopefully nobody will sneak up behind you.
No. I don't know.
We were talking to you about I'm Madman before the show.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we're going to have to get you on the Big Monster Briefing Room to talk about that. I saw the trailer. It looked very interesting.
It is a very interesting movie. It really is. And my dad is beautiful.
Oh, you haven't. Oh, great. You have a
I
death scene in
well,
it.
it's a
Oh,
horror
can't wait to talk
movie,
about
so
that.
you know,
Can't wait to talk about that.
I had.
But yeah, back in '88, I was just starting as a comic, and you came through Florida. You came through the Comedy Corner, I believe.
Yep.
And I'm going to make a confession here that's not going to put me in a good light. But a lot of the comedians at that time that I worked with, I didn't think were all that funny. I'm sorry. But I could count the really funny ones on one hand, that I really, really thought were funny. And you were one of the ones that I thought was really, really funny at the time.
Oh, thank you.
It's true. I mean, I like Lois Bromfield. I liked Rita Rudner. I liked Judy Tenuta.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of girls at that time that were trying to do comedy. And I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry. How did you get this job? But you were very funny and very nice to work with, and I loved your bit. My favorite bit that you did was like the gold digger just trying to get a cup of coffee or a cupcake or something.
Oh, that one.
Doing the lips. And there's actually a clip of that on YouTube that people can find
Yes.
from your comedy special of you
I
doing
am
that. It's very, very funny.
I'm
Because
all
they have
over
to
you.
over enunciate everything, and I just thought that it was brilliant.
That's correct, Rory.
So, was it tough for you back in that day? When I mean, this was the time when there were cable specials on HBO and Showtime, so there was comedy clubs in every town. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 in every town at that time. Was it tough for you to navigate through that?
It was tough, and it was tough because of the misogyny, really.
Mm.
I mean, there were experiences I had that now I wouldn't even waste my time. But at the time, that's what you had to go through. That's what you had to be.
And here I just said what I just said. Ugh.
Well, it's funny because it's weird because it was difficult to navigate because nobody thought, if you wanted to get booked, you had to send in your entire set because women aren't funny. That was the thing. You had to prove that you were funny, and you had to send in a video of your entire set and stick to that set. So no improvising.
I didn't realize that, but I know that at the time you had to send in a tape. It had to be a good tape of your entire set, and that was everybody. But I don't think I ever heard anyone say that they held you to doing that very set.
Oh, I was held to do that very set many times. And it got to the point, I was working in a club in Seattle, and I walk in, and the opening act is doing the most filthy stuff I have ever heard. And it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It was shocking and horrifying. And that's the only reason they were laughing. So before I go up, the owner of the club comes up and tells me, you're not to swear. You're not to talk about anything sexual. You're not to flit around the stage. You're to stand there and tell your jokes. And I said, well, did you know that it was me you booked? Are you aware at all?
Really?
And this is interesting because my husband was with me at the time, and he didn't go with me. This just happened to be. It was Seattle. Let's go to Seattle. And I said, well, your opening act just did a bunch of horrifying stuff that wasn't funny. And he goes, well, we won't accept women who are filthy. Women don't have that right. He said to me, women don't have that right.
Yeah, so I book Energized Clay.
Yeah. So I just smiled and went up on stage, and I said to the audience, guess what the owner of the club just said to me? What do we think? Do we want my act, or do you want me to submit to a misogynistic a-hole? Do your act. So I did.
Good for you.
I'll never book you again. That was my favorite thing. I'll never book you again. I looked at him and said, you think I want to come back here?
After that?
What is wrong with you? And my husband wanted to beat him up. I'm like, no, honey.
Sick him. Yeah, that's again,
that was
a dime for every time they were like, yeah, well, we didn't do as well this week, and it's like,
I had Roseanne Barr vouch for me at one club. It wasn't even a very good club, but it was amazing.
One comment used to I used to say that sometimes they just kick the plug of the jukebox out of the wall and say, okay, go ahead and be funny.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty
That's
much the
definitely
spot.
what you got down in the Southeast when you were working the circuits. Which circuits did you work at that time?
Oh, wow. I worked everywhere.
I don't
Anywhere
doubt
that
it.
would me, I would work. And I spent a lot of time in the Midwest. And down south was really interesting for me because they don't like women who talk like I talk. So it was always
So the comedy caravan wasn't a good run.
no, I did it, but it wasn't a great run. It was interesting.
But Florida was better. Florida was okay, right?
Florida was good. I like
Yeah.
Florida. I like performing there. You know, I did get a notice from the police in Florida for saying the F word.
Oh, geez.
And they told me if I said it again, I would be arrested. And I just went. So
Seriously.
Yeah.
They went all Lenny on you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Can I hear the Roseanne Barr story? Because I'm kind of interested.
It was just this club. This guy wanted to book women, but he didn't think women were funny. And he had booked Roseanne.
Uh-huh.
And he said he thought she was funny. And I said, well, how nice and big of you. You know, you genius. Did you just figure that out? And he didn't want to, I had submitted myself and he didn't want to book me unless I had someone of quality. And I can't remember the other word, but it had to be like somebody famous, but not really famous, but famouser. And out of the blue, I talked to a bunch of comics about it one night, just at a gig, and somebody told Roseanne, and Roseanne called him and said, book me. So I got that gig.
There you go.
And then the bartender said that if I slept with him, he'd give me all the drinks I want. And if I didn't, this was cute. No, that was not a first. He said, if I didn't, you'll never come back.
For me to hear, I mean, I've never heard anybody tell me that, bartenders would do that.
Oh, yeah.
The least of your worries is the bartenders, usually.
Oh, yeah. No. Man. For women, it's such a different experience.
It's a different experience.
Such a different experience. Yeah. And the thing is, you have to maintain your sense of humor about that stuff. But right now, I can tell you that there are like 6 or 7 club owners, probably a dozen other comics that really should have been arrested. Is what they should have been jailed. They should have been, and it's just true. But the bartender was like just such a slime. He was so slimy, and I always tip the bartenders hugely at the beginning of my week.
Okay,
because people want to send me drinks.
Yeah,
and I don't want to drink on stage, so I had them send me shots of iced tea.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And people were stunned at how I could hold my liquor.
That's it. Put a little umbrella in it. Just like Dean Martin.
Iced tea.
Yeah, that was good.
Good as anybody. But it was...
that again. There were a lot of club owners where you had to drink something on stage because it's psychological. It sells more drinks.
Yep. Well, I would always drink a couple of. I'd always take one real shot, and then the rest were tea.
Yeah. I used to get them to send me Diet Coke with a little umbrella in it.
Rum
Coke, folks.
I should have asked that.
I did the same thing.
So Sandy D in the audience said it's such a double standard. I hope
oh my goodness.
I hope she's please don't die on our show, please.
I have sinus. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay as long as you're okay.
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, so Sandy D said, such a double standard. And I'm wondering, as you're talking, Stephanie, we have this trope here sort of, okay, that women comics are not funny. And I'm wondering, first of all, that can be true. Obviously, there are comics who are not funny of every gender, right? So there are women comics. But as you're talking, it's occurring to me that maybe some of the time, not all the time, but maybe some of the time that they're not funny is because they're being told that they can't take the same risks. They're not allowed to explore the same subject matter.
That could very well have been in my case too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if you were to take the same percentage of male comics and tell them, but you can't talk about sex and you can't do anything raunchy and you can't say the F word and you have all the dirty dozen and you go down the list. It's like, okay, well, how can I be funny? So it's like the Ginger Rogers thing where you have to do everything Fred Astaire is doing, but backwards wearing heels. It's like, you know, the level of difficulty that they're putting on you. I mean, imagine, Rory, if someone said to you, okay, you can't explore sex, you can't say the F word, you can't do anything that's remotely, I mean, eventually you'd look at it and you'd say, this is so milquetoast, who would laugh at this?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
Look at
lot of
me.
that. And the women were also really intimidated. Women were afraid.
right. And you're terrified, right? So you're sort of like being thrown into the lion's den, and it's like, be funny, but to be funny, you have to have some level of confidence and some level of safety, that you know, you're not looking at the exits and imagining yourself getting attacked all the time. And women feel that. And particularly in the places you're talking about, you're going after dark, you're in these clubs, you're in these bars, there's rowdy people, raucous people, men who are very drunk, inebriated, and they want to do you harm. You know, it is shocking that anyone could be funny under that circumstance. Like, how do you be funny is the real question. How did you achieve
You,
that?
you know, it's amazing because I remember I would walk into, well, I learned quickly who to ask for my middles, my opening act in middles. If I had the opportunity to ask, I would ask for somebody that knew me, and was going to be there for me if I needed them. And that ended up working out really well. 99% of the time I was with somebody that would, you know, throw hands for me if need be.
There you go.
I traveled with one comic, I'm not going to name him, but he had a gun.
Boy.
And he carried his gun. And his gun and him saved me one night. And I couldn't believe it. It was the middle act, goes out, gets drunk, comes home with 2 hookers, comes back to the comedy combo, and that brown checkered couch, because it has to be the brown checkered couch that smells just a little funny. And there's that stain. No one knows what it is. That's the couch.
Puke green.
Yeah. Oh God,
Puke
that
green
was
sofa.
cool. But he came back to the condo. There he is. The hookers go home because he has no money. He has to borrow money from me for the hookers. I'm like,
So
what? Did your mother ever speak to you at all? It's just like, Jesus. And he was so drunk. So I go to my room and I shut the door and I locked it. Because he had been like winking at me and going, yeah. And chicks dig that. That's the thing women really love, when a man completely disregards them as a human being and does, boy, that's real romantic. We love that. And vomit on your breath, that'll seal the deal. That's good. So this guy starts pounding on my door after the hookers leave, and he's rattling it, and he starts throwing his body against it. So I had to put a chair underneath it because he broke the lock. The next thing I know, I hear, you need to get away from that door. Click. Ah!
yikes.
And he went to his room, and the comic with the gun sat outside his room, slept outside his room on the floor all night long.
Wow. That beats the story that I've heard.
It was so much fun.
You know what? I'm not going to tell that story. It involves somebody who just passed recently, so I shouldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
I think I've told the story. Did I tell the story about Gilligan's Island, Renee, on the show before with another comic?
I think you might have. I'm not 100% sure, but I think.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is my show where people want to smack me. So a couple of comics are staying in a comedy condo. And I can't remember who the comic was who told me the story. Literally, I can't remember who it was. But Gilbert Gottfried was the headliner. And at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, the comic he wakes up. He feels like something's not right. And he looks down at the foot of his bed, and Gilbert's at the foot of his bed staring at him while he's sleeping.
Oh my God.
And the comic looks up and he goes, Gilbert? And Gilbert looks at him and says, if you were on Gilligan's Island, would you choose Marianne or would you choose Ginger? The guy says, I don't know, I guess Marianne. He goes, okay. And he walks out of the room. And nothing's ever said about it again after that. So, but at least you didn't have to put a chair under the door, because Gilbert had a gun. Well, when you said one of the comics that travel where you had a gun, I thought it was going to be like a story where he protected you. He was one of those features that came along to protect you.
He did protect me.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood the story.
No, the click. Yeah.
The click was him saying, "Get away from her door." Okay, I got it now.
The click was the gun. Yeah. this is the universal gun click right here. So, yeah, the click was the gun. He did protect.
The hammer cock.
And I remember just sitting there on the edge of the bed going, "Wow, you could have been a school teacher." That was my big goal when I was growing up and stuff. I wanted to teach school.
That's ironic. I wanted to be a stand-up comic, and I ended up being a school teacher for 15 years.
I have so much respect for school teachers. Oh my God.
I don't know how I did it in China. I don't know how they do it here.
Oh, it's a tough gig, man.
So who are some of your inspirations when you were starting out?
Oh, let's see.
We all listened to comedy albums when we were young. I mean, who were some of your inspirations?
Rusty Warren.
Okay.
I have her albums.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Rusty Warren and Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
My dad introduced me to Cheech and Chong.
My sister introduced me. I don't go figure.
He brought home their album and said, "You need to hear this. This is great." I was like, "Why, Father, aren't you a scamp?" So Cheech and Chong, and let's see who else. Phyllis Diller, Cody Fields, like that. Yeah. Roseanne was inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Because she came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And was a domestic goddess and did this thing. And that was, that's impressive.
Yeah.
The way she built her career is very impressive.
I think there's an Oprah show where she has her and Seinfeld. There was 4 of them that were just up and coming at that time. And they all became huge stars in comedy after that show. It wasn't a Rodney Dangerfield special. It was Oprah. Yeah.
Oh my word.
But yeah, they all went on to become, huge stars in comedy for like the next 10, 15, 20 years, up until today, in most cases.
Oh, that's
nice. So yeah, I'm checking, things on IMDb to talk to you about, see what you've done. And there's a huge body of work. So I'm just going to throw titles out here, and if you have an interesting story, please let us know. Unhappily Ever After.
Okay, that was I was on that series with Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
And Bobcat Goldthwait was the bunny, the voice of the bunny.
Yeah.
And the plot was that me and my husband and I are getting a divorce. Through the entire series, we're getting a divorce.
Okay.
And he lives in the basement, and I live in the house. And he loses his nut, and he thinks this stuffed bunny that he found in the basement is talking to him. And that was Mr. Floppy, and Bobcat Goldthwait was Mr. Floppy.
Floppy.
Yeah. And there were a couple of times, I'm telling you, we just worked such long hours on this one episode. I didn't think we were going to get it done, which was unusual for that production company, to be honest with you. It wasn't usually like that. And for some reason, they were having the hardest time with the script. And I sat down next to Mr. Floppy on the couch, and Bobcat started talking to me. And the puppeteer is underneath moving his head and stuff. I had a half an hour conversation with Mr. Floppy.
So Bobcat was actually on set. They didn't voice it over later. He was actually on set talking when the puppet talked.
Talking the whole time. Yeah.
Okay. So you got a sense that it was real, that the voice was there because he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
very
Mr.
cool.
Floppy said some amazing things.
Oh, I bet. Off camera.
We're in the script and off camera. Oh yeah. But that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I loved that show because things would happen, like we'd sit down for the read, and all of a sudden we found out that, You know, my mother had died and I buried her under the avocado tree in the backyard.
Jeez.
And that's not wasn't one of those shows where you go, well, what about continuity? What about the character history? Where's my motivation? You know, your motivation is it's in the script. Your continuity, who cares? And your motivation is get paid. So and they told us that.
This was Universal Studios?
It was Disney.
Really?
It was Disney, yeah.
Wow.
Wait, are we going to find out what Bobcat told you as Mr. Floppy for half an hour? I mean, that's kind of all I can think about now, Stephanie. You got to give us something, even if you make it up. I got to figure this out. What did Bobcat as Mr. Floppy talk about for a half an hour with you? I don't know.
We talked about all kinds of things. We talked about, like, I sat down and like, God, I feel fat. And I'm working with Nikki Cox, you know. Twiggy would feel fat next to Nikki Cox. She was young and beautiful and perfect, physically perfect.
Mm.
So yeah, working with her. Yeah, she was supposed to be my daughter. So like, no genes from me there.
Now, I was going to ask you a question about that, actually, in that respect. It's a good time to pull it in then. You were in the Yes Man with Jim Carrey.
Yes, I was.
That
good story.
Camera adds about 10 to 15 pounds to you.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Carrey looks really thin in that movie.
He was skeletal.
Wow.
He was so skinny. It was disconcerting. It really was. It was pretty disconcerting. And that was filmed during the strike.
Okay.
And they had gotten a special dispensation from the union to complete filming because they were beginning filming before the strike hit, and then the strike hit.
Yeah.
And so we weren't working, and he called my people and asked them if I'd like to have a small part, just a little bump of something, get a little money during the strike. I didn't even know him. But I met him, and he said, I know you. I know your stand-up. You're really funny. Think you're a talented actress. So I thought it'd be nice to, you know, I'm like, throw me a bone, my brother. I am a grateful person.
Well, that's great. I thought that might be the case with like a Big Top Pee-wee. You played a mermaid in Big Top Pee-wee.
That was the case in Big Top Pee-wee. Paul asked me if I wanted to be the mermaid. And I was like, yes, of course I do.
Hey, you want to come be the mermaid?
It's okay.
That'll be really cool.
You want to know how he really talked? Hey, Steph,
actually, yeah, I've seen him in interviews.
I do.
The mermaid, but I do the Pee-wee voice better.
Like, you want to be the mermaid? Like, yeah.
Oh, that's spooky.
Yeah. And they had to have a little person dub my voice because they wanted a really high-pitched, squeaky voice, you know, a very I can't even pretend to have one of those.
I think your voice would have been funny. That would have been funny.
Well, Paul was pulling for my own
smoking.
Yeah,
smoking mermaid.
What do you want? But that was fun. And Benicio del Toro, the dog-faced boy.
I know. I didn't even realize he was the dog-faced boy in that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'm watching the scene with one of the scenes of you was as a mermaid, and he's Benicio. It says Benicio del Toro as the dog boy.
And I had to keep my tail on because it took so long to get on it. I had to jump into it. They would hold it up, and I would jump into it, and then they'd shake me down.
And they would rubber it up, yeah.
And there was no peeing. There would be no peeing.
Well, you could, but
yeah, the tail got heavy, so you know. So I had to be carried.
Yes.
And Benicio del Toro carried me all over the place.
Because he could.
Because he could.
Oh, wow.
And I was so tickled.
I talked to you about that before the show as well. And you said, what was it? You said something sarcastic like, oh, poor me.
Oh, how horrible for me.
Oh, how horrible that was.
Awful. I hated every second of it.
And ironically, he ends up playing the Wolfman, 10 years later.
Yes, and what a fine man he was.
He'd done his homework. Nurses?
Nurses, yeah. That was interesting.
Now, that was originally written as a kind of a vehicle for you, right?
No, it was not. Yes,
Okay.
it was actually. I'm sorry. Nurses was. It was written for a
But
vehicle.
then it became kind of an ensemble piece.
It was written for a vehicle for me and Arnisha Walker.
Okay.
It wasn't just for me. It was for Arnisha.
Okay.
The two of us. And I fell in love with Arnisha. She's an amazing actress. She's got a voice. She sings like angels in heaven. She will hypnotize, mesmerize you. She could steal your wallet while she's singing and you wouldn't even know it. Not that she would, but she could. And she sometimes would sing on set, when things would get stressful or tense. She'd burst into song and everybody would just relax. So yeah, that was for Arnisha and I. That was a good run. That was nice. And then we got a new showrunner who decided that I was not, how did he put it? He said, we can't do anything with your character. And I said, wow, really? The writers are that bad? Because you don't tell an actress you can't do anything with her character. Everybody knows that BS. He was terrible. He was a mean SOB. He wouldn't even look at you. He'd turn his back to you while he gave notes because he didn't want to see your face.
I don't like her. She makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. So what did he say? He said, oh, we can't do anything with your character because you're not sexy, you're not attractive enough, and nobody would ever want you.
Oh, jeez.
And I looked at him and went, well, tell my 3 husbands that.
Mm.
And every comic from here to Des Moines.
So you moved on to Muddled.
I moved on to Muddling Through, which was supposed to
Muddling Through, sorry.
That was just a 9-episode show. That was only supposed to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We knew going in it was short-lived.
Oh, okay.
But
it was like a filler for a show that had been canceled or something, or?
Yeah, it was. It was a summer run fill-in. Robbie Benson directed.
Did he carry you around?
No, but I tried to get him to. He's not pretty at all. No, not at all. Looks into your eyes and you just go, whatever, fine. I'll kill my mom. I don't care.
I've known guys like that. Yeah, I've known guys. I wanted to say, Stephanie, your experience where you talked about the guy saying, oh, we can't do anything with your character because you're not desirable and no man would ever want you. It's interesting, but it seems like all of the greatest beauties of Hollywood history were told that exact same thing multiple times. So Sophia Loren was told that multiple times. And
really?
Barbara Streisand was told that her entire life. I'm trying to think. Almost everybody I can think of. Yeah, almost everyone I can think of was told that over and over and over again. You're not. And it's incredible. It's almost like, to be desirable, you have to go through that because it's part of the pedigree almost. So it's an interesting thing. And I almost wonder, my whole life I've wondered if part of it is the guy saying that, the professional guy who's telling some woman this. It's never true. Clearly it's never true because I'm talking about these great beauties who are noted for their bombshell beauty. But it's almost like there's like some kind of visceral subconscious thing where the man maybe secretly wants her and feels he can't have her and he's violent about it. You know what I mean? It's like it pisses
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
he picked on Nikki too. That's what really got my.
That's what I'm saying. See, that just proves what I'm saying. That proves what I'm saying. There's something in him where he feels that desirable women don't want him, and so then he lashes out. Right? It's a projection.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Nikki.
Was he an ugly little troll?
Nikki Cox had auditioned for him for something, and she said she came back in absolute tears.
So you see, that's what I'm saying.
He was so abusive,
right?
And I just wanted to punch him in the throat.
You know what it is?
Whatever you want to me because I can handle it, but
you know what it is? It's his mother or some woman in his youth did something, and now every woman subsequent has to pay that price. It's a projection. So, anyways,
he fired me, by the way.
Of course he would. Yeah.
And replaced me with I am blanking on her name. Blonde. It'll come to me. But people would ask, and then the funny thing was that after they fired me, he said, "You can't tell anybody that I fired you." I said, "Sure, I can. I can tell anybody anything I want. What are you gonna do? Send me to my house? Come on, you already did that."
He doesn't like people to speak their mind, to tell the truth.
No, he did not. He did not. And Arnisha, boy, she was mad. She was flaming mad. She was running around that set like a chicken on fire. She was just so mad. And I just kept saying, "It's all right. Relax. It's okay. There's other things to do."
One of our viewers said, "Did you get replaced by Suzanne Summers?"
No, but close. It was
of that ilk.
That ilk, yes.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was,
well, and again, it could be, I mean, for those guys, who want to be in control, it might be a tactic too, just to make you think in your mind, what does he mean by that? Just to get you thinking negative about yourself.
So did you hear that there are these dating coaches now? They tell men who are trying to get on the dating scene that you're supposed to insult the woman that you want to date, because that opens her to think he's better, and then she feels bad about herself, and then he can come in as that's like dating advice. I forget what it's called, but they're actually telling men that if you cut her down to size a little bit, that she's not that good looking or whatever, she can't make it, there's something wrong with her, that then there's like a brain science where she's supposed to then want him more because he's exerted some kind of dominance over her. So some men think that that's true. Some men think that's true.
Yikes.
They're trying to date you,
You would have to be the stupidest woman on the planet to fall for that.
But there are some women who have some, if they've been abused, it probably works on some percentage. And it only has to work on one. It only has to work on one. So.
But that's beginning in a relationship from abuse. That's abusive to do that to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. But abuse is familiar to some people, right? And they look for that because it's familiar to them. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
I have a friend who has the worst men. Just the worst.
Yeah.
Can she pick them?
Oh, boy. I'd meet him and go, "No, what's wrong with you?" Like, Jesus, God almighty. Get out. I'm a good friend.
What's TV show was it? I think it was the Golden Girls, where they had a guy and B. Arthur. She was like, "Oh, I'm really attracted to this guy." And he comes in, it's like a detective that's staying in her house on a stakeout or something, Joe Campanella. And he goes, "Will you get out of my way?" And she goes, "Oh, I love him so much."
Oh my God.
Renee's right. I mean, there are some people that they grew up with that, and that's what they're used to. That's what they know, and they think that's right in their life.
Oh my God, my mother used to tell me.
It's terrible.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying it's terrible.
It is. I look just like my mother. I mean, we'd walk down the street with my daughter, and somebody actually stopped us in my hometown and said, "Oh, look, before, during, and after," which still has me kind of. We still have to have a conversation about me, about that person. But I look just like my mother. And my mother used to say to me, "You better develop a personality because you don't have the looks to cut it." But I look just like her.
Yikes.
That was a moment to peek into my mother's psyche and her insecurities. It was not helpful to me at all. But, at the time, I've always had I am so insecure about how I look. It's stupid.
One of the things that I do when I prepare for the show is that I have an AI program that I put your picture into it and do an AIU for the last poster, the last slick for the advertisement for the show. And as fun, they have all these other options with the AI art. I do all the other options, and then I send it to the guest afterwards as a kind of a gift because they're fun. So I'm going to send you some AI art of yourself, a photo shoot you never did.
Oh, thank you. That's gonna
After
be
the show
fun.
as a gift for coming on. And yeah, I think you're going to be, well, it's definitely going to make you laugh.
Oh, that'll be fun. I
And
love
it's,
the AI pictures. I think that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, but I wanted to say real quick though, and yeah, you're gonna love them, Stephanie. But I wanted to say this too because Sandy D also said she thinks that this is very common in Hollywood, where a man in control, he likes to abuse the female talent to cut them down a little bit, make them more compliant, and feel more grateful to him for giving them this position, right? But I wanted to just go on the record to say, just in a purely superficial way, Stephanie, very superficial. If I didn't like you, if I didn't know you, I'd say exactly the same thing. I think your brand tends to be that you are good looking. I think that tends to be how people would think of you. If someone's scrolling through, like, you look like a Hollywood hottie. You have the long blonde hair, you have the shape, you have the chiseled face, you have that symmetrical face. So to me, you look like a very obvious hottie. You're kind of like, that's the stereotype of what like a Suzanne Summers. So I think that the fact that this was said to you and you said you're insecure about your body, remember, Brooke Shields is insecure about her body. Pamela Anderson is insecure about her body, right? So women are the more beautiful you are, often the more insecure you are, because men are doing this to you because they want you to sleep with them. So they're trying to bring you down to their level so that they can win you. Women are going to be pissed at you because you're competition. So they're going to try and cut you down. So I think the hotter you are, the more that you do get insecure because you're being told all day long you're not good enough. But the irony is that it's because you are a threat to people who feel that sort of intimidation. And I think that's true. And Patricia Bernard is talking, and she said, we're all insecure about our looks. The media and advertising says,
yeah,
absolutely. Sandy D is saying, yes, Renee, that she absolutely agrees. I know she's also someone who's very beautiful, and she's had this same dynamic happen to her. So it's almost like at this point, I feel it's a notch on your belt of desirability if you can have somebody attack you for your looks. Because think about it this way, I can prove it. Watch, I can prove it. Whenever you have met someone who physically truly does not look good, aren't we really nice to them because we feel bad? We would never say the truth. We would never say the truth. So for somebody to tell you you don't look good means that they're threatened because you do. Because nobody attacks somebody for their ugliness when they're actually ugly. Me at my worst moments, when I've been angry at people, that's like a line people don't cross. You don't tell someone who's actually ugly that they're ugly.
That's true.
Yeah.
I had never thought about that. Thank you.
So if they're telling you you're ugly,
thank you.
If they're telling you they're ugly, it's because you're beautiful.
I love her.
Everybody does.
I think that's right.
She's like something about Mary, Everybody meets Renee, loves her for being her.
Thank you.
But you actually reminded me of a very funny story. I haven't thought about this in decades. One of the first movies that I was an extra on, and you should never tell people you're an extra, but you'll never work if you're an extra. You'll be an extra for the rest of your life. But it was Brenda Starr with Brooke Shields, and I remember there was a lot of crazy stories from that movie. But there was a day when, you know how they have a bunch of people running around the set, who are like gophers and light people and set people, and with a guy that was in charge of all those people. He was talking about Brooke. Brooke is coming. She'll be here soon, and she's not getting fat. Okay. That's that to everybody.
So my word.
I snuck a camera onto the set in a little side pouch thing over my shoulder that I put with my costume, because I was playing a circus hand, like a circus mechanic, I think I was. And I managed to get some pictures on set. And then Brooke came in, and I wanted to take a picture with her for my hometown newspaper. I was living in a little town called Lake City, Florida, up in North Florida. And we were in Jacksonville. So about 10 minutes before this, I talked to her mother, Chris, who was in control of everything. And I told her, all about the, me, this is my first time. And it was a nice little conversation. And if it had been anybody else that didn't have that conversation with her, she probably would have said, no, he can't take the picture. But a runner actually ran across the set. I said, can I get a picture with you? Or to Brooke Shields. And a runner actually ran across the set to Chris. I can see him talking to her. And then she looks over, sees me, and she goes, and she let me take the picture.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, evidently she was very concerned about her hips and her behind when they were making
I would
that
love
movie.
to have hips in a behind.
And
I had a baby, right?
So she's not getting fat, okay, everybody?
It's not happening. I love that. See, that's great. That's wonderful.
So have you ever met Harvey Weinstein?
No, I never have. But
You're
what's
lucky.
really weird is that some big producer, I can't remember who it was. It may have been him. Somebody told me they think it was him. Was in LA from New York, and he was casting small parts in this movie. And he wanted me to go up to his hotel room alone for the audition, and I refused.
I'm thinking it was Harvey Weinstein. I'm thinking.
And I was really young. I had just gotten out here. Yeah. I was really naive and inexperienced. And
short, fat, mottled skin.
Yeah.
That was him.
Oh my God.
That was him.
And my people tell me this, my agent tells me this that I had at the time. And he says, "You gonna go?" And I'm like, "No." Are you out of your mind? I may be naive and I may be new to town, but I don't go to strange men's hotel rooms alone. I'm Midwestern, for God's sake. And I still had a much thicker accent at the time. And I remember just saying to him, "I am not going up there. You've got to be out your mind." Out your mind. I remember
you had the Harvey Weinstein experience. Or, I mean, you didn't go there, but.
I didn't go. I did not go.
Speaking of Midwest, and we were talking about guns earlier, you have a scene in Evolution, the movie Evolution with David Duchovny.
Yes.
Where you and a bunch of girls meet with a creature, and you go into the kitchen and you pull a huge gun. I mean, a huge gun out of a kitchen drawer. I mean, it's like a Dirty Harry. It's like a 44 Magnum.
Well, it was funny because the armorer had gone over everything with me like they're supposed to do. And I had handled the gun, and it was plugged. It wasn't actually a gun. And it was deep plugged. They told me it was deep plugged. And whether or not that was a lie, I don't know, but I believe it. And
that means the barrel was filled with steel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he said, "Do you know about guns?" And I went, "Yeah." So, he goes, "Fine." And I was just like,
"Good.
Okay." So I pulled it out and I did what I was supposed to do. And everybody on the crew busted up laughing. And I couldn't figure out why. And Reitman, the director, comes over and says, "Well, somebody loves her guns and her close-ups, doesn't she?"
That's right. That was an Ivan Reitman film.
Ivan Reitman, that's it. And he says to me, and that was funny because I just looked at him and went, "I'm from Ohio." Like, why wouldn't you know how to handle a gun? Everybody I know knows how to handle a gun.
They were amazed by your talent.
Know how to handle a gun is something.
You should put that on your, resume for acting. Well, and now you've been doing NCIS.
I did NCIS twice, which is they told me that doesn't happen. They wait 8 years. They take a minimum of 8 years before using the same actor twice.
Oh, okay.
And it'd been how many years? I think it had been 9 or 10 years since I was on the show. Same crew, same people. Do you know how happy they must be to stay there throughout the entire stretch?
You actually did NCIS, and you did NCIS Los Angeles. You did one of the other shows, right?
And then I
just bounce you around all the different NCIS.
I'm
Las Vegas,
sort of begging
Hawaii.
For Hawaii. I want to do the NCIS Hawaii. Just because But that's fun. That's a great crew. They're great people. They really are. That's a
Awesome.
wonderful experience to do an NCIS.
See, and that's when you have something like that, I mean, it's like family. You know you're going to have a good time. You know you're going to have a good experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a reunion, seeing a family again when you come back on.
And they were all so nice. They were just, oh, we're so happy to see you again.
Hey, you're back.
You're one of the few people that come back.
They even make it a point to say that. The crew. What? How did you do that?
But that was really fun. That was great fun.
When working on TV, what's your favorite part about it?
That you know where you're going to go, and you know who you're going to be with, and you know what you're going to do. So there's security in that. I like that.
So as opposed to movies where none of the above.
Nothing. Yeah, no security. It's interesting because you try to explain to people with these 9-to-5 jobs, who can't possibly fathom not working for a month. How can you not? Are you insane? It's like we're just playing and it's not a real job. There are still people in this world who think this is not a real job. And it's amazing because you just go, well, you sad ass thing. But and don't ever give me and the interesting thing is there's one guy who's like that I know. Every time he recommends a movie, not to go. It's going to be a waste of money and you're going to wait until midnight or 4 a.m. in about 3 years when you can't sleep. Then it's worth watching. But any movie he likes is just miserable, just terrible movie. I guess we just have different tastes.
He likes Renee. Who's the director that we just did a show on?
Steven Spielberg.
Huh?
Steven Spielberg.
Sidney Lumet, right?
Oh, Sidney Lumet. Yeah.
It's also depressing, everything that he's done. He's only got like 2 happy movies in his whole career. The rest
Oh
is
my
like,
God.
Oh. we had to do a show about him. We were talking to one of the guys that worked with him. He was a student of his. So I'm watching all these really depressing movies.
Oh my God.
And I had to tell the guy straight up, I'm sorry, but you better play it something happy after one of those movies. Man. He's like, yeah, I know. He was actually
Oh my word. Oh, you know what? This is bizarre, but one of the best times I had was on HBO's Dick Tracy. Not Dick Tracy. Why did I say Dick Tracy? The lawyer. The one about the lawyer.
Matlock.
It used to be a TV series a long time ago and about lawyers. And never mind.
LA Law?
No, older than that.
Really?
50s.
Law and Order? Oh.
No.
50s. Perry Mason?
Perry Mason.
You work with Raymond Burr.
No, I did the HBO Perry Mason.
Oh, okay. Different actor.
That was great. That was the
Who took
first
over for
show
Perry?
I did where they didn't hand me Spanx.
I'm sorry?
That was the first show I did that they didn't hand me Spanx.
They didn't hand you Spanx.
They didn't tell me to put on Spanx. Or, they either give me Spanx to squish my boobs or to poke them out. And I'm always wearing Spanx and things,
I didn't know what Spanx was. Renee probably knew.
Oh, they call it shapewear.
Spanx. It's like wearing a leotard that's supposed to pull and it shapes your entire body. It's
make you hourglass.
Yeah, and I'm not an hourglass. Yeah. God had no hourglasses in mind when he had more of a like a
Sandy D knows what Spanx are.
And Spanx are hard to get on, and they're hell to get off, and they squeeze you so tight. And then I walked in there, and they gave me this beautiful costume and had my hair done just so nice, and I'm standing there with no Spanx. And
where's the Spanx?
Oh man, I was so happy. And then you walk onto set and the entire experience with the directors and the other actors and everything is so good, and no spanks.
And no spanks.
No spanks.
We're gonna have to get a shirt made up. No spanks.
No spanks, man.
Is that spelled SPANKS?
SPANX.
Ah, X, like
Yes.
spandex.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Lots of Spanx.
Spanks. I learned something today. I like to learn things.
When I work for Disney, they give me the Spanx that squish your boobs because my boobs are too big for Disney.
You know, they give you Spanx at Disney. That's what I've heard.
Yes, they do. It's always fun to watch. What did I do?
Now, wait a minute. Hold on now. Did you just say Disney makes you push your boobs up?
No, they make you squish them back.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Make them smaller. Yeah. But you can't have boobs at Disney. You can't. You can have little ones. Little tiny boobs. That's all.
The land of little boobs.
It's amazing because this is a creative industry where the art is supposed to be the thing, the story is the thing, the production is the thing, and people are so worried about boobies. It's ridiculous. And whether or not, you have a tummy. Oh,
Well, Seth MacFarlane did a song about it at one of the Academy Awards ceremonies a few years back.
Did he?
We saw your boobs. We saw your boobs. It was the only time he ever got hosted the Academy Awards. They didn't call him back the next year. They were a little too hard on that Ricky Gervais guy. He actually sang it to, well, all the actresses that were there in the room. He was singing it to them. Meryl Streep was the one that stuck out in my mind that he was singing it to her.
Well, she has a pair. Yeah, she definitely does. She's very feminine.
Who are some of your favorite people that you like to work with?
Oh, wow. I have so many favorite people.
Oh, I bet.
I do. I have a lot of favorite people. Oh. I loved working with Bobcat. I really did.
Yeah.
I loved
I
working.
would imagine I've spoken to Tom Kenny a few times, and yeah, he seemed he says the same thing as Bob's the greatest. He's the
and
greatest.
Tom Kenny's just a peach, man.
Yeah.
That's the guy you want to work with all the time.
He had great stories. Oh my God, such great stories.
Oh, I bet he did.
About Robin and Bobcat.
I have some tawdry stories about Bobcat, but I promised I wouldn't tell them. On my deathbed, though, I'm going to be there going, and then Bobcat said, and then...
Rose Bobcat. Snow globe falls to the floor.
Oh, you know who was great to work with was Reba McEntire.
Oh, that's right. You're on Reba.
Yeah, she let me wear her pants.
Did you have to wear Spanx?
No. Reba's like a no Spanx kind of gal. That was another one where no Spanx, but they couldn't find it. They didn't have a pair of, and I have I'm sort of boyish from the waist down, sort of just straight, no curvy thing happening. And Reba is built the same way. So instead of taking the time to alter a pair of slacks, Reba said, just put her in a pair of mine. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting into Reba McEntire's pants.
I am keeping these pants. I am walking home in these pants.
I tried so hard to keep them. I begged.
Can I keep them, please? These are Reba's pants.
She's just so nice.
Like Patrick Warburton when I said that.
I'm wearing Reba. I was dancing around going, I'm wearing Reba's pants. I'm wearing Reba's pants.
Little Reba dance in Reba's pants.
Mm-hmm. She was great. It was great working on that show. That's one of those shows where the lead person likes to pray before shows. And which is fine, man. If that's what you're into, I'll stand there with you. I will lower my head. I will respect.
Why not?
And one of the kids
bring whatever positive mojo you can.
Yes. Who knows? If it helps, it helps. I'm there. But it was interesting because one of the kids was really squirrely and messing around, and Reba snapped her fingers at him. pointed and went, "Tch," and you could see Reba the mom right there.
That's how
Man,
you take care of a child on set.
she snapped. That was the loudest snap too. I'm like, I can't even snap. But that's loud. Mine are pathetic.
I had to work on the pop too. Be able to do that.
Do you do the fake drink thing?
Now I can do it without hitting my face. So
It's
I
better.
practice that. I know. It's yeah.
I liked working with you. I would like to work with El Ropo, but I haven't in years. Phil Van T.
Okay.
That would be fun. I don't have a problem working with most people. I really don't. I've had a couple.
One of my
people
resolutions was to try to get back out there again and do the voices. A couple of years ago, Renee and I, or actually about a year and a half ago, Renee and I did a voice challenge where I did 847 voices in an hour.
Oh my
So
God.
I kind of set the record. And I've been trying to see a way to package that to send it out to clubs going, look, we can do this. And you can even get Guinness maybe interested in it, because Guinness would not acknowledge it, unless we, pony up the money for the sponsorship and all that, so.
Oh, you have to pony up money for that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like when somebody asked me how you get a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah. Somebody's got to
And I
pony
told
up the
her,
money.
she just looked at me and said, "Why do you have to ruin all my dreams?" I'm like,
Something really silly just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame too. It's one of the characters from the new Godzilla versus King Kong movie or something.
what?
Yeah, because they're wanting to promote the movie when it's coming out in a couple of months.
Oh, so now the
And
stars.
I'm like, Jesus, there are people that, really, legitimately actors and musicians and people that deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. See, I think Pee Wee Herman should have a star.
He doesn't? Paul Rubens doesn't have a star?
I don't think so.
I rest my case, Your Honor. Good Lord. Good Lord.
See, I loved
What a
working.
travesty.
Yeah, it is a travesty. He came out to when I was I was one of 3 comedy club owners in Minneapolis back in the day.
Okay.
And we had Paul come out and do Pee Wee. And this was just when Pee Wee's Playhouse was starting.
Right.
And before the television series. And they booked him at the Guthrie, and I opened for him there. Mm-hmm. And I was the very first female stand-up comic ever to perform on the stage of the Guthrie Theater. Now, there's another female comic who says it was she. 'Twas not she. 'Twas me. And it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun working with him.
Oh, I bet. Everybody says great things about him. That he was
He was just the kindest person. He just amazing.
Yeah. Weirdest moment you had on the road?
Weirdest moment I had on the road. I'm walk on stage. I start to do my set, and someone in the back is yelling all the punchlines.
Oh.
And I finally said, "Why are you doing this?" "Because I really like you, and I know your stuff." And I went, "You know what? The rest of these people don't know my stuff, and I appreciate that. But can I do my stuff? And can you be quiet now?" If I can imitate a monkey, I'll be quiet for the rest of the show. Go for it. So she gets up and she's going, she does this whole monkey thing, which was humiliating. I was humiliated for her. And then she sat down and was quiet for the rest of the show.
Wow. And came up to you afterwards and said, "Did you like the way I helped you?"
Yes, she was. She was like, "I'm sorry. I thought you guys really liked that."
I helped you, didn't I? Did you like the way I helped you?
Yeah.
We got laughs, didn't we?
That was weird. That was just weird. And the same club the next night, a couple got married, wanted to get married on stage after the show and wanted me to be their witness. So I did.
I'm sorry. I got a couple of lines of coke that are calling me. Think of something even worse than that, you know.
Oh man, that was weird.
Wow.
Really weird.
So did you actually do it? Were you the witness to the wedding?
Yes, I was.
Well, there you go.
The wedding signature and everything. Yep.
I forgot about that. The witness had to sign. Jeez.
Yeah.
They got you to sign. That's funny.
I'm looking at him going, this is so much pressure. Do you realize
every time they're watching you on TV, they're like, yep, she was the witness. She was there. We were so smart to do that. Put her on the spot.
Oh, sorry.
I made you snort. Oh,
you made me snort.
My night is made. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending an hour and 6 minutes with us and telling us some great stories. And again, I'm so stoked about getting you on Big Monster Briefing Room too.
Me too. Oh my word.
Because that's so much fun too. And we're going to have to do that when we start season 5 in a couple of weeks. So thank you again so much for coming on, and you far exceeded our expectations, I believe.
Okay.
as we should have expected.
Have I been shouting the whole time? I shout. You know.
No.
It's because I'm
You're
old.
very calm.
Time for Dana Ricker in Canada. He wanted to just know what your greatest moment of stardom was.
In your opinion.
Oh God. That was being asked to sign the star book at Disneyland. Disney asked me to sign their book of stars. And I got a
Who
parade.
gets to see that?
I got a parade. And I got to sign the book of stars. I don't know. I don't know that anyone gets to see it.
Is that like an attraction? Okay, everybody come on in. Anybody who's got an e-ticket, you can see the star book. Page 57.
That was
Stephanie
cool.
Hodge.
Great. I've read all the names in there, like Annette Funicello, you know, man. That was cool. I had a parade.
Like you're a Mouseketeer.
I love them. That was a pretty
Stephanie
cool
Hodge. Nick Nolte. That would have been an interesting Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse.
It would have been, wouldn't it?
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Me, Nick Nolte, you, and Margaret Chow. That would have been it, right?
Margaret Chow. Margaret Cho, right?
Cho. It is Cho. It's fun. I love her. I just love her. And we worked together a few times, and I introduced her as Margaret Chow every time.
Ah.
And she would come up on stage and go, Cho.
One of the most embarrassing things I ever did in that respect, and I think I've told this on the show before, was I was opening for Frankie Bastille, and I said, and he's open for the Destroyers, Bad to the Bone. Who's the singer that sings Bad to the Bone?
My recall is terrible.
Yeah. Well, and obviously mine is too right now.
But I cannot say the name. I don't know the name.
But I say the guy's name. He's open for that guy and the Destroyers because I didn't know it was the same.
Oh.
Bastille comes on stage and he goes, "It's the same band, you idiot!"
Oh my God!
And he goes on with his set. I was like,
sorry, so sorry.
And George Thorogood, there it is. He's open for George Thorogood and the Destroyers.
Oh my God!
Oop.
I opened for Mel Tiller once.
21 at the time, so.
Oh, honey, that's sad. Young men felt bad.
It happens. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Face. I love your face.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's great to see you too. I want to say that we worked more than just the Comedy Corner, but I think that was it.
I think we did work more than that.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this out of left field. Did you do a gig for Harris and Holland in Tampa Bay? Because something in the back
Yeah.
of my mind was telling me that you
Yes.
did, and that's
Yeah,
when I got
did.
to see you again, actually.
Yeah.
Because that was after I left or actually I should say after I got fired from the Comedy Corner.
Oh. I
Long
loved
story. It involves Colleen McGar, who was Bill Hicks's woman, but she was the manager of both clubs, the Comedy
Oh.
Corners in Florida there. And it was my ego.
Oh.
My worst enemy. She was telling me I had to patrol the room, looking for trouble.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm the opener. I'm not a security guard. So I started goose stepping in the back of the room, and that really pissed her off.
She had no sense of humor, did she, for a club owner?
So, but at that time, I was ready to go out on the road. I had got my 30 minutes together. I was ready to go out on the road anyway. So it was like,
Well, you were just saying goodbye.
Thanks
in
for
a
the
big
stepping
way.
stone up.
A goose stepping stone.
The goose stepping stone up. All right. We're at an hour and 11, almost an hour and 12 minutes. So
Oh my God.
Tom Cheshire, one of the other hosts that likes to go overtime, he's going to love this.
Oh,
He's going to be very proud of us. Thank you again, Stephanie, so much for having some fun with us. And again, we'll have you on again soon. And a big monster briefing room. You're gonna be a lot of fun talking with General Howitzer.
oh.
We might do evolution later too. Have a good one, everybody. Thank